My friends, Simon Miller here from yet another weird location in the United States of America as I continue to tour with the Last Match musical. Get your tickets if you are on the East Coast of America. I know I do say this at the start of every video, but otherwise the comments are like, Simon, where the flub are you? I don't know, it's really weird. But you know what we're talking about today? Becky Lynch. Because yes, on the most recent Monday Night Raw, we did have a battle royal for the Women's Championship, but we decided the man should get the title back. And unbeknownst to me, when I did a little tweet out there from Simon the 316 cheap plug, people went crazy, going, Simon, I can't believe you agree with this. How boring. We should have given it to someone else. Now, usually with this stuff, I admit I sit on the fence and I'm like, well, okay, I see what you're saying, and I do understand where you're coming from. This is also a massive flub you. I don't think that we're giving Becky Lynch the respect she deserves. Because look, if it had gone on Liv Morgan or a Nia Jax, or even if we had done something crazy like put it on Chelsea Green, I wouldn't have minded, because as always, we have so much content from WWE and AEW and New Japan, and whatever wrestling company you want to watch, you may as well do some surprises here and there, because it's good for the brain, it's good for the entertainment, and it's always good for the content. But when you go to the other side, and you want to start talking about people that are worthy, quote unquote, of being a champion, you can't say that Becky Lynch doesn't fit into this category. And if you're also one of these individuals going, oh man, Becky never gives back to wrestling, sorry, you haven't been watching. She went and lost to Lyra Valkyria down in NXT, and I don't think she's ever tried to sort of politic her way into any kind of a situations. She's just a super duper star. And look, at WrestleMania 40, I think at one point she was scheduled to defeat Rhea Ripley, but Rhea got so damn over, rightfully so, everyone went, we have to keep the title on her. She is so good. So if you do then lose a star of that caliber, obviously, to me anyway, 2 + 2 = 4, not potato in this sense. You give it to someone like Becky Lynch, she can hold it for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it will be, and then you pick somebody else, and that person can then defeat Lynch in a one-on-one match. And I don't know about you, but I think that's going to give whoever that opponent is way more credibility than kind of fluking a win in a battle royal. And once again, it could be Liv Morgan, it could be Nia Jax. It looks like we're going to do some kind of thing with Piper Niven, because they had that absolutely ridiculous spot in the battle royal when Piper tried to put Becky through a table and it didn't work. So Nia Jax then joined in and she tried to put Becky into a table and it didn't work. And after a while, it was like, man, we tried to bake a cheesecake, but instead a pizza popped out. What? So I was genuinely surprised by all the fallout to this. And I guess in many ways, maybe it is a little bit too obvious and some people wanted there to be a curveball. But I really do think this is one of those situations where we have to let it play out and see what WWE is planning to do, especially because they wouldn't have had it in the books that Rhea Ripley was going to be injured for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, whatever it may be. So if you are sitting there and your long-term plan have just been flushed down the toilet, it seems to me the most sensible thing to do is go with the safe option and then decide, right, who do we put the belt on? I mean, even if we did keep it on Becky, until Ripley does come back. If that did happen and they had their rematch and Rhea Ripley beat her again, I personally think that turned Rhea Ripley into an even bigger star. And that should always be the MO in 2024 and 2025. How big can we make the Nightmare? Because she is already massive, but I still think she's got mad potential in front of her, which is one of the reasons that injury sucks so much. It was just wrong place and wrong time. I mean, there's never a good time to get injured, but coming off the back of WrestleMania 40, but it just made me sad in my tum-tum. If anything, I think this could actually work for somebody like Liv Morgan, who can now be like, man, I came so close in the Royal Rumble, and I came so close here, I'm always finishing second, and that's why, Becky, I need to take you on, maybe even at Backlash, which I think is happening a week Saturday. I mean, maybe that's a little bit too close. Whatever the next show is, after that, you absolutely could do a title change, because once again, we are now walking down a path that we were never meant to stroll down to begin with, which means you have carte blanche to do whatever you want. And what really irks me is that I just know that if it had gone to someone like Nia Jax, the same kind of crowd we got, oh my gosh, Nia Jax hurts everyone, she shouldn't have been the champion, and it would have been the same for Liv as well. So I really had no problem with this. I genuinely didn't think that anybody was going to come yell at me on Twitter for voicing an opinion, and then I remembered it is 2024, and that's just what happens. And look, I'm always happy to have this conversation. I think it's good to have a back and forth. When you go crazy and start saying, Simon, you're such a boot a-hole, you don't know what you're talking about, well, don't expect me to sit here and take it. Not in my weird hotel room in America. As for the Battle Royal itself, I thought it was okay. Chelsea Green stole the show from me when she did the Stone Cold Steve Austin spot from 1997, and actually that would have been something I was totally fine with. If she had then gone on to win the thing and become the champion, and then someone like Becky would have beaten her 7 days later, once again, that would have sent anybody nuts, but I think that would have been quite entertaining and it would have been quite fun. But I don't like all this disparity towards Becky Lynch, especially if you have read her book, which I'm going through right now. She has had quite the rise to the top of WWE, and I genuinely believe she has the best intentions for the women's division. So yeah, no problem with with this, and even if she does hold it until Rhea Ripley comes back, I am not going to moan. I think sometimes we forget about the person that is standing in front of us just because maybe every now and then they are a little exposed. It's like Sheamus, who I'll now segue across. Everybody used to rag on Sheamus, which is why, again, I never want anyone to get injured. But now he has come back, people are going, oh man, Mr. Irish dude, we missed you. And that's because he was always underrated, even though some people thought he was overrated, but he was not, because as he always tells us, he just has banger after banger after banger. I'm not 100% sure that WWE knows what they're doing with him either, because he just had this back and forth with Drew McIntyre, but they have such good chemistry because they are real friends. I had no problem with this either, especially because when Drew McIntyre said, forget banger after banger, you've been eating burger after burger, Sheamus genuinely laughed. And anybody cracking up in any kind of wrestling or entertainment field always makes me laugh, and that makes me feel good in my tootsie toes. I also think this is totally unfair to Sheamus. I mean, he did mention on the internet that he was asked to come back earlier than he was expected, so I'm sure if we had waited till the pay-per-view premium live event, he would have been a little bit trimmer and a little bit leaner. But even as he is now, if you actually went on some kind of social media and body shame, which is essentially what it is, Sheamus, you now have to whip your pants off, whip your trousers off, and post a picture on the internet. And then we'll see how people react to you. He just looks like a dude that could kick somebody's ass, and of course, after a while, he will lose these extra pounds. But it is not bodybuilding, it is pro wrestling. And when he's in the ring, as long as it looks like he could destroy someone, which is basically his whole gimmick, I really don't understand what the issue is, and we have to stop doing this. The coolest thing about wrestling is you can have thin guys, you can have fat guys, you can have big bone guys, you can have stocky guys, you can have whatever you want. It's all about how somebody connects with the audience, and that's the thing that I'm vibing off at the moment, is that it actually feels like Sheamus is finally getting his flowers. I did a video years ago saying that I was worried that he would never get this until he was long gone. So now I just want to appreciate him. And look, his match with Ivar last week was fun. His match with Shinsuke Nakamura this week was fun. But I suppose the main crux of the program is what he is going to do with Drew McIntyre. And I actually don't want them to feud. I've seen them do that time and time again. And while I would enjoy that, I hope they have some kind of buddy relationship here where Drew goes and wins the world title and Sheamus goes and wins the Intercontinental title, playing the long game here, like The Rock. And then they can walk around going, ha ha ha, we have achieved our dreams. And then maybe they can even be a tag team. And you know what? You can make them tag team champions, and I would still be down for that. Although, very interestingly, Drew is still talking about CM Punk, but we haven't seen CM Punk for a while now. And in fact, the last time we did see him was on the post-Raw after WrestleMania, where he screwed Drew McIntyre. So once again, clearly we are waiting until he is healed. And I'm going to put my money and bet my hair that we do that match at SummerSlam. At that point, Drew probably is the world champion, and my gosh, the stakes of that thing will be so good. Very excited about WWE as we do head into August. Otherwise, I just thought Raw was mostly okay. Obviously, we're having the draft on Friday, I believe, or we're moving into draft week, so this did kind of feel like filler. And I will say that I did feel the absence of Cody Rhodes. So once again, that's people moaning as well, saying, oh, Cody's a terrible champion, even though he's only been WWE champion for about a day. So really, it is going to be on the likes of Damian Priest and Jey Uso to prop everything up. Now listen, I love this. I think now that we do have full-time champions on both shows, you do have to make sure you take other characters and push them to the moon. Which is why when they did do the opening promo segment between Jey and Damian, I just thought it needed a little bit more oomph. Because it's one of those things where it wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination, but I also wouldn't really call it good, which is way more negative than I mean. But I don't really need to see Damian Priest telling stories about his past when Jey Uso once kicked his ass and they went out and had a drink. Because the best version of Damian Priest is the one we saw later when he just absolutely wrecked everybody that had defeated the Judgment Day, took out Andrade and Ricochet. But this is going to be a tightrope that we need to walk, because I do believe that WWE wants to turn Damian Priest face after he gets booted out of the Judgment Day, but he can't lose that edge, right? He cannot lose that Adam Copeland who has now gone to AEW, because that is what has brought him to the dance to begin with. Like, whatever character, whatever gimmick, whatever personality he has now, did something to somebody's brain where they were like, well, he's absolutely world championship material, so you don't want to flip the switch and all of a sudden take away those traits. Otherwise, it would be like what we did with Diesel in the 90s. If you were watching there, Diesel became the champion because he was just the coolest dude ever. Because Vince McMahon was obsessed with this Hulk Hogan template, as soon as he became a good guy, he would just sell and sell and sell. That's why it didn't work when he was the champ, because people were like, he's massive. He shouldn't be selling for no one. Just kick somebody's butt and move on to somebody else. But look, these people have only just been moved into this position, so I do think we have to give them some leeway. And once again, Jey Uso versus Damian Priest for a world title is only going to build their star power, and that's absolutely something we need to do in 2024. As I've told you time and time again, I think that's one of the best things about the bloodline. Not in my wildest dreams did I ever think that Jey Uso would be in this position, And it's the same for Damian Priest. And this is why it's awesome that we did bring groups back, because for ages, WWE didn't care about stables. But now we are using this so that the individuals you put in there are stronger than the sum of their parts. So when they do pop out the other side, they can go and challenge for world championships, which brings me to my last point. Do you know who else needs to do that in 2024? Say it with me like losers. Gunther. He also made his return on Raw, and man, did he cause a stink. Because not only did he enter himself in the King of the Ring, and I'm like, well, I think you're going to have to win now if you do declare that. He promised to go after whichever championship he wants to, and I don't know whether that's a stipulation of the King of the Ring or he was just saying it, but also he had put thoughts into Ludwig Kaiser's brain, so when Imperium did lose to the New Day, Ludwig went absolutely nuts and he beat up Giovanni Vinci. Now, I just talked about people being together and being stronger than the sum of their parts. Not entirely sure how this is going to work out for Vinci, but I will hold my hands up and say I hope I'm totally wrong, and I hope he finds a way to smash it. That is kind of second fiddle to all of this though, because Gunther is now moving into the King of the Ring tournament, like I say, and I presume he's going to come up against Xavier Woods at some point, because that was the dude that got in his face, but also Drew McIntyre said he wanted in this tournament as well. Now look, I love Xavier Woods, and if he became a two-time king, I'd be the happiest man ever. I've just waxed lyrical about how great Gunther is. Drew McIntyre obviously is a main eventer, and if he became the King of the Ring and you did it right, that would serve him wonderfully well as well. And if you put someone like an Andrade in there and in Sheamus, it will be the first King of the Ring in years that actually means something, which is why I hope what Gunther said is true, and whoever does win that thing gets to pick their opponent. So maybe it's a Damian Priest, maybe it's a Sami Zayn, maybe it's a tag team match. I don't even know, but that is what we should do year in, year out, because then when you give it a few years, so we get into 2027, not only can we look forward to WrestleMania, not only can we look forward to the Royal Rumble, not only can we look forward to Survivor Series, it's going to have War Games, but finally King of the Ring will mean something, as opposed to, here's a crown, why don't you put it on your head? Now look, people like Xavier Woods and obviously King Booker have done wonderfully well with this, but it is a little bit cheesy, and I just think we can do more with it, especially if it's this type of wrestler that's going to go into thing, which actually gets me excited about the Queen of the Ring, because maybe somebody like Liv Morgan wins that, and she too says, now I'm going to challenge you, Becky Lynch. We get to SummerSlam, Liv Morgan wins that, then maybe Rhea is good to come back, she beats Liv Morgan, and then everybody can calm down. And we have gone full circle here, you never saw it coming. We actually also may be out to break another team up as well, because Tommaso Ciampa did storm out after DIY had lost to the Awesome Truth. It was kind of weird because that was bookended by the stuff with Imperium, which is maybe why we did wait. So I suppose either DIY going to go heel, and I suppose we probably do need a few more bad guy teams on the Raw side, or we're going to go back to the Tommaso Ciampa versus Johnny Gargano feud, which actually I wouldn't mind at all. But let's not forget, it also seems like Chad Gable is about to start a new bad guy group too with the Creeds. So could he incorporate Tommaso Ciampa into that as well? It wouldn't be the end of the world. And also, fair play to Chad Gable. Somebody gave him a microphone and gave him, 8 minutes in the ring and said, just go out there and be an absolute dick. He totally smashed it, and now I hate him because he was mean to Otis, and nobody should be mean to Otis. And you just know eventually that Otis is going to try and slap him around, but Chad Gable will get the better of him. So once again, that program has been expertly done as well, and I look forward to see what we do in the future. But I think the draft is going to change up a lot of things, and that's when we will learn about a few new stories. So yes, Raw was neither here nor there, but that's okay. It's still a miles better show than it was a few years ago. But yeah, just to draw a line under it, I don't think we need to be this mad about Becky Lynch becoming the champion. Sometimes you just give it to the obvious, most worthiest person. As far as I'm concerned, she's an all-timer, she's a legend, and she has done loads for the women's division. And there go the comments. What are you going to do? Probably call the Ghostbusters. Now, of course, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the bell ding ding so you know other videos are going live. And also, there'll be a video on the screen somewhere. Give that a click. Otherwise, check out GorillaMind.com/Simon and use the Simon to get 10% off these fitness supplements, which I am using here in America to try and stay jacked. Patreon.com/Simon316. Simon316 on Instagram and Twitter. Simon J. Miller on the TikTok. Simon Miller on Cameo. If you'd like some kind of birthday or Hanukkah or Passover shout out, I'll do whatever you want. Pro Wrestling Tees and Samson Athletics for Miller merchandise. Otherwise, take care of yourself, my friends. Thank you for joining me. More videos are on the way. You know, it's just a crazy time right now, but I appreciate you having my back. I am sweating because this room is so hot. You didn't need to know that. Goodbye.